Live at the podium in Girard Hall at UNC, where the campus police chief and chancellor are going to speak at any moment now. We continue our breaking news coverage of the lockdown at UNC. It was the second time in 2 weeks for students in Chapel Hill. This is the scene after reports of a man waving a gun at a bagel shop on the university and put the university on lockdown. Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. Those scenes look all too familiar for students, faculty, and others in the community. This is video of the Student Union building on campus from Sky 5. This is where it happened. In less than 2 weeks ago, a professor was shot to death on that same campus in Caudill Labs. Tonight we have live team coverage from the UNC campus. We want to start with Dan Haggerty, who was on campus. Dan, you were just there 2.5 weeks ago. This has to be eerily similar and familiar for you too.
You certainly get that sense when you talk to the students. Gerald and Deborah, the Student Union right behind me. The bagel shop is just inside those doors. Again, as we mentioned, we have the news conference expected any moment now. If it happens, we will interrupt our coverage and get a live update from them. And it is important to get that information, but it's just as important to hear from the students who are struggling with these repeated incidents here on this campus. WRAL's Shelley Jackson has been spending the day talking to students, getting an idea of what they are going through. Shelley, take it away.
Well, I want to show you first, kind of set the scene here. This plaza is called the Pit. This is the Carolina Union, and on the bottom corner there is the Alpine Bagel Place. That's where the incident happened. When we arrived during lockdown, we could see students pressed up against these windows here at the library and across at the dining hall. We even found one student terrified, hiding behind the bushes. Sirens blaring across UNC campus and students, again, running for shelter.
So I was sitting right outside of Lenore Dining Hall. We just saw people just start running, and we didn't know what was going on. So when you see a group of people running, you run too. At 12:55, Alert Carolina sending emergency notification about an armed, dangerous person on or near campus.
And we were looking out those windows up there, just seeing like police running around with guns and stuff.
The all clear given a little over 2 hours later.
It's a little relieving, but still not really.
All of this less than 3 weeks after a fatal shooting on campus.
It's absolutely insane. Nobody should have to go through this once. Nobody should ever feel like the fear of the possibility of having to go through this. And the fact that it's happened twice is absolutely insane.
It was a little shocking. I didn't expect it to happen for a second time, but
We are going to get back to some of that reaction in just a moment, but the news conference, the presser is starting now as we hear from authorities. Let's go there live.
Today, we will take a few questions, but for now I'm going to turn it over to UNC Chancellor Kevin Guskiewicz.
So thank you for being here today. It's sad and alarming that there have now been 2 lockdowns over the past 16 days on our campus where we've had to apprehend individuals who have violated the safety and well-being of our community. This afternoon at 12:54 p.m. an Alert Carolina was activated because of reports at the Student Union of a person who brandished a weapon. UNC police reported no shots were fired. Fortunately, after an hour and 15-minute lockdown, law enforcement determined that there was no longer an immediate threat to campus. We issued an all-clear message at approximately 2:10 p.m. The suspect is now in custody. UNC police are working closely with Chapel Hill Police Department to gather information and continue their thorough and professional response. This incident had no relation to the shooting on our campus. Had no relation to the shooting on our campus on Monday, August the 28th. However, the news of another armed person and a second lockdown on our campus is concerning and can be traumatic. As a result, we've canceled on-campus classes for the rest of the day, and we will resume all classes tomorrow. I've sent a campus email with further details, including mental health resources for our community members. Thank you to our faculty, our staff, and our students for their cooperation and patience as we continue to strive to keep our community safe. I want to be clear that guns are prohibited on this campus and every campus across the state of North Carolina. Today's events further underscore the importance of everyone working collectively to know our safety protocols, follow our emergency action plan, and support one another because incidents such as this are all too common. I'm grateful to the UNC Police Department, our emergency operations team, and the Chapel Hill Police Department for managing this situation quickly and efficiently. Thankfully, no one was injured. But imagine the stress, the trauma, and the anxiety that a second lockdown in 16 days has caused for our students, our faculty, and our staff. This pains me as a member of this community now for over 28 years, and I'm committed to doing everything possible to maintain the safety of all those who work, learn, and live here at Carolina. I'll now turn it over to Chief James to give you the details of what happened today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian James. I'm the Chief of Police for University of North Carolina. We are again disheartened by the incident that happened today on Carolina's campus. I would like to thank the UNC Police Department, the Town of Chapel Hill Police, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Carborough Police Department, and the North Carolina Highway Patrol for their quick response in keeping the campus community safe. Here are the updates we have to share from today's situation. At approximately 12:45 p.m., UNC Police 911 received an emergency call detailing a situation inside the Carolina Student Union. Once the situation was confirmed, UNC Police immediately took action and went on lockdown at approximately 12:54 p.m. According to witnesses, the suspect confronted an employee of Alpine Bagel, which is inside the union, and displayed a firearm and threatened the employee. He then fled the scene in a vehicle. The suspect, Mikhail Deontay Harris, was apprehended by the Town of Chapel Hill Police Department at approximately 2:45 p.m. in the 300 block of Formosa Lane. Harris was arrested on an outstanding order for arrest and was being sought in connection with the incident on Carolina's campus. UNC Police, with the assistance of the Town of Chapel Hill Police Department, is continuing follow-up on this case, and charges on the suspect are pending. UNC Police will continue to be diligent in ensuring the safety of the campus community, especially during peak times of the day, to provide reassurance to our campus community. Thank you, and at this time, I'll turn it back to Kevin.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned, we'll have time for a few questions. If you do have a question, please raise your hand. We will get a microphone to you, and we'll go first row right here. Please identify yourself and your outlet.
Aaron Sanchez-Guerra, News and Observer. Question for Chancellor and also the Chief. Why was the all clear issued about 30 minutes before the arrest of the suspect? And I ask that in good faith, knowing that this situation is very different from the tragedy that happened. But still, I wanted to ask that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to answer that. We were conducting a follow-up during that time, and we received confirmation that the suspect was not on campus. So we had good information that we were acting on. Of course, we wanted to ensure that the campus was safe. We did a number of sweeps around the grounds of campus, as well as the outer perimeter, and we had assurance that the suspect was not, in fact, on campus.
Kilat Malamed, CBS 17. Regarding where the incident happened or where the suspect went afterwards, was there camera footage or surveillance of him? And if so, why did that not go out to the public and to news outlets to show people this armed and dangerous person they should, be on the lookout for and avoid, of course?
We are still in the process of reviewing camera footage. Keep in mind, we do have a number of cameras on campus.
The connection and/or no connection at all between the suspect and arriving at the Alpine Bagel Shop inside Student Union.
At this time, we are exploring what the relationship was. We believe that there was some type of connection. We certainly don't know what the motive is at this point, but that'll only be discovered through interviews of witnesses and possibly the suspect if he chooses to speak with us.
In the back.
Janice Price with ABC 11. I was speaking with students today who said that by the time they received those text alerts, they were already in a locked room. Is there a reason why the alerts came out a little bit later?
So I'm not sure which students you were speaking with. What I would say is this, is that when we respond to a situation, we have to confirm it first before we go into a full lockdown. That is a concern. I would say also that throughout the country there have been reports where people have made false calls. So it is important that we go to the location and actually confirm before we issue a lockdown notification. Those particular students may have actually witnessed something that caused them to shelter in place, which that action is totally appropriate. If they actually witness something, that is totally appropriate. But we do have to confirm from a law enforcement perspective before we go into a full lockdown.
Hi, Kelly Kendall, Carolina Week. Chancellor Guskiewicz, my question is for you. I want to know, as not only as a reporter, but as a student of this campus, how do students return to campus feeling safe after not one, but two of these incidents?
Yes, as I've already said, this is the second situation in 16 days, and while, as I've already said, unrelated, there's likely to be anxiety and trauma for our students. It's why we decided to cancel classes for the rest of the day, so that people could, take an opportunity to sit back, reflect on this, and so it saddens me that we've had two situations in a little over 2 weeks, and so we've got a lot of support, for the students, for the faculty, staff. I hope that they'll access any resources that they may need as they're processing this. And as I said, we're going to do everything possible to reassure everyone that visits this campus, lives, learns, works here, that this is a safe place to be.
Hi, Denise McMiller with WFNY News 2. You mentioned that Michael was connected to another assault. Was that connected to a situation on campus, and was he a student?
We had an incident on September 5th in the town of Chapel Hill at Old Durham Road and Scarlet, in which an investigation led us to seeking charges on Mikkel Harris for assault-related incident. It's assault by pointing a gun, communicating threats, and going armed to the terror of the public.
Was this, when you said there was an outstanding warrant, it was for that?
For that incident related to the September 5th incident. Okay. Those charges related to that.
I have a question for the Chancellor, but did anyone else have questions for the Chief? Okay. Chancellor Guskiewicz, after the last shooting, I had heard anecdotally that there were families that were driving into Chapel Hill to pick up their freshmen, take them back home. I talked to a student today who has anxiety and said, just like last time, she grabbed her anxiety pills right away for a panic attack. I know you've kind of talked about this already, but what's your message really for families as well of like how do they feel safe sending their students here and entrusting them to stay here and continue their education?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the things that we've learned is that people process and respond to these situations in different ways. It's why the counselors and therapists and everyone that we've had on campus and those resources that I've already talked about are so important. And we just want to reassure everyone on campus that you need to reach out. We need, to access those resources. We have to stand up and support one another. As I've said before, we stood strong together a little over 2 weeks ago in this situation. We've had a lot of parents reach out to us and thank us for the way in which they felt that their student had been supported over this, following that tragedy from August 28th. We've had those, though, who, like you've already indicated, said, I need to just take my child home for a few days to process this. And so we want everyone to sort of process this, grieve in the way that they need to. And this situation, fortunately, as I've said, nobody was injured, but yet twice in 16 days, there will be anxiety. And we want to just, again, reassure everyone that we have the support systems in place to help. We have incredible faculty here that are working with students. We did lose 2 days of classes back at the end of the month, and the faculty are working to help make up that time and work with students that needed additional time, and we'll do the same thing for those that missed class this afternoon.
Second row,
Hi, Carly Haynes, WRAL. I was wondering if there are any changes to your emergency response between the August 28th shooting and the incident from today, anything that we learned from that previous incident?
You know, as I said before, we had a plan. We've been preparing, sadly, for a day like that, and you hope you never have to activate that plan. But we had a good plan. We have a good plan. We have a better plan today and protocol today because, as we've learned from colleagues around the country who have been through situations like this, that you have to, review what happened. We've started that process already. We heard that many of the community members wanted to have more frequent updates through different means of communication, and so we acted on that already, and we were able to put that into play today. So that is one of the things that we've learned. As I said, there's no perfect response, but I'm really pleased with the way the teams, everybody, responded today, and we will learn from today as well. I don't know, Chief, you may want to add something more.
I'll just speak from the law enforcement response, and I'll say from the August 28th incident and today's incident, everyone responded as they were supposed to. Our UNC police officers immediately organized themselves, went into buildings, cleared areas, and our partners got here very quickly to help us establish a perimeter around campus and also help us to clear buildings as needed. So we continually train and we review our response and just do everything we can just to keep this campus safe. And we're very proud of the way that we responded. However, we stand here again hoping that this never happens again.
Back row.
Emmy Martin with the Daily Tar Heel. This is follow-up on a previous question, but why was there a 10-minute gap between that first 911 call and the first Alert Carolina message sent to students?
Yeah. So again, we had to respond to the area, and it's to those that know Carolina, known as the Pit at the Student Union. We had to confirm what happened, and that was confirmed through interviews with the staff at Alpine Bagel to get exact information and to just be assured that this did in fact happen before we send an alert. We certainly don't ever want to send out an alert and it's not warranted, because when we have to send it out in a time when it's critical, people may not pay attention to it. So we want people to be assured that anytime that alert goes out for a lockdown, that people take it very seriously and act accordingly.
The chief there explaining the answer to a question that so many students on campus had here today as to why they were getting messages from friends that something was happening about 10 minutes prior to the alert, the official alert coming out from the university. We're learning now that that 10-minute gap between the 911 call and the alert was there so police could determine that the threat was in fact real. Another bit of information we're learning, they don't quite understand the motive at this point. Hearing from the chancellor, clearly he seems in distress for the well-being of the students here, the mental health of the students, as well as their families at home, wondering if their children, how safe their children are, in fact, here on campus. We also learned that they're reviewing surveillance video at this point. We are going to touch base. You heard our Carly Haynes asking a question there a moment ago. We're going to touch base with her in just a second to go a little bit more into the details we learned during this news conference. But when you think about the surveillance video, of course, everyone has the interest in seeing that and watching how it played out. But in this case, there is no shortage of eyewitnesses in this very busy section of the campus during a very busy time of day. Our Keely Arthur spoke to someone today who was inside at the bagel shop and watched it all go down. Keely, tell us what they said.
Dan, we spoke with multiple people, and I want you to think about 5 feet. That's a very short distance. That's shorter than my wingspan. That's how close these students say they came face to face with a gun. We've been in this kind of stressful bubble for the last month. Students say they're questioning their safety, and some of them today question whether or not they were going to live.
It's a lot. This UNC 2023 school year is a lot. At this moment, Allie Agnoli is safe, far away from campus. Earlier, she went from eating a bagel at the student union to barricading herself and her roommate in a booth at Alpine Bagel.
We kind of got under the table and got as close as we could. My roommate kind of she froze, what do we do? And I was like, just get down.
Current scenes. With the alleged gunman to her left and windows blocking them on the other side, the two were trapped.
In the moment, I had a split second of thinking to myself, oh my God, that's a gun. And then the next thought was again, it's happening again. And then there was the fear that someone would be shot right in front of me, and then possibly that he would turn around and see me and my roommate and shoot us next.
Agnoli says an Alpine worker pleaded with the man to put the gun away. He left, and that's when they ran.
We just grabbed our backpacks and ran through the back of Alpine, and then we were running across the street just to get away from the union. And as we were running, I called 911 and gave a description. And I was just there's a gunman on campus. And that was my first time ever having to call 911. And it was incredibly scary.
It took a full 10 minutes for UNC to put out its alert here at 12:55. She texted friends on campus warning them and was perplexed when the sirens and the warnings didn't go off. From the time she called 911 at 12:45,
it's just very terrifying to think about what could have happened. I'm very grateful that no one was hurt. And I'm sending all my love to the Alpine worker too. He had a gun in his face. But just the fact that we could have watched that man die and then also could have been next. It's a lot.
So, as you heard in the news conference, officials kind of justified the time between the 911 calls and then putting the alert out because they wanted to make sure it was a credible threat. Agnoli said they still did not act fast enough. Now, students got the all clear alert, and it said something to the effect of resume normal activities. They tell me at this point, there's no such thing as normal activities. This week, they say, was the first week they were finally feeling normal after the deadly shooting 2.5 weeks ago. And now all this.
Stressful. Definitely stressful. Keely, Arthur, thank you so much. Just frightening and compelling interviews there, that frightening moment. All starting during an altercation between the suspect and an employee inside the bagel shop. As we still work to get the exact details around that, we are learning a lot more about this person who allegedly pulled the gun in there. Our Aaron Thomas joining us live now from the apartment complex where police made the arrest with the specifics on what we know about this person. Aaron?
Well, Dan, I can tell you right now, we are hours into this investigation, and Chapel Hill police remain on scene here at the Greenfield Place Apartments. For point of reference, we are roughly 3 miles away from UNC's campus, and this is where that suspect who's accused of bringing the gun on campus, this is where he was arrested by police. Let's show you a mugshot. This is 27-year-old Mikkel Deontay Harris of Durham. You're now looking at an older mugshot from a charge not related to this current case. Chapel Hill police arrested Harris on Formosa Lane in Chapel Hill. Police said that they already had an arrest warrant out on him for an assault charge on September 5th. And we also definitely showed you the sense of the large police presence from the campus lockdown. While being out here, again, this has been going on for hours. We've been speaking with several neighbors. There's children that play outside. Neighbors saying that they were told to stay indoors while this arrest was going on. Of course, we're still trying to firm up a lot of details to find out what brought this person accused of bringing that gun on campus, what brought him here, is there a connection here, does he live here? Of course, we'll be bringing those updates as they become available. Dan, back to you.
Aaron, thank you so much. Continue to keep us updated as the day begins to wind down here on the campus at UNC. I can't say personally, it is upsetting to me to be back out here covering such a similar story so quickly after the tragedy that happened a couple of weeks ago. I can only imagine the feelings that are going on with the students, the families, the people who come here to work every day. Clearly a very upsetting time and something that these students are going to have to grapple with throughout the school year. Guys.
It makes our heads spin for us who aren't even on campus or have students there. We can't imagine what those students are going through. Thank you, Dan.
We are tracking a chance for showers for some of us into the evening. Meteorologist Mike Mays is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center watching the radar for us. Mike.
Yes, it's